Welcome, Darkest Dungeon 2 travelers, to another entry into our Darkest Dungeon 2 guide set. Today, we welcome into the lair the Librarian. The Librarian is a timed fight in which you must defeat the boss before they're able to burn all of the books. Now, I'm going to demonstrate this fight with a less than ideal team that has a runaway and a tanking leper to show that proper mechanics can still lead you to victory even if the team isn't perfect. For example, this team is not very good at hitting the 4 position. However, that doesn't mean they can't manipulate the fight to their advantage. For instance, you could try to pull the boss forward with Come Hither. However, this boss has extremely high move resistance, so most skills that will move the boss out of position will be ineffective. That said, the books do have much lower move resistance, and you can move them behind the boss in order to bring the boss forward. All that being said, if your team is good at hitting that back row, then by all means you can just start doing damage right away. The boss will also naturally move forward. With each cast of Page Burner, the boss will burn 15 health off of one of the stacks of books. And each time they destroy a stack of books, they will take a bonus turn, and that'll be one less thing stopping them from being in the 1 position. And that's what it comes down to. Your entire goal in this fight is to stop the Librarian from being in the 1 position with no stacks of books remaining. Because if the boss gets to that point, it's pretty much game over. Not always, but you're certainly entering hard mode at that point and making the fight very difficult to complete. When the boss is in the 1 position with no books remaining, they will spam a skill called Burning Bright over and over and over again. It's an AoE that hits your entire team and sets them all on fire. So let's try to avoid that and do enough damage to the boss before they can destroy all of the books. Speaking of books, there's going to be a lot of mandatory reading in this fight. It's a skill the boss uses that does damage, stress, and has the possibility of setting you on fire. Additionally, the boss also has a skill called Smokestack that can blind you and make you vulnerable while also giving the boss a dodge token. One of this boss's trickier skills is called Categorize. This is a skill, believe it or not, that puts your team in alphabetical order by class from right to left. You can imagine how detrimental that would be to a team that doesn't like to be shuffled. Luckily, the boss only uses this skill when they are in the 3 and the 4 position, and it has a very long cooldown of 8 turns. The last skill we'll mention is Burnout. This is a skill the boss will only use if they manage to make it to the 1 position and there are still stacks of books remaining. Now, you may have noticed throughout the course of this video that we have been using Blind pretty effectively against this boss. This is a wonderful strategy to help control the amount of damage and destruction that the boss can do to you. So using skills that blind or something like a smoke bomb to give the boss a blind can really help to reduce the amount of problems you're dealing with. Let's also take a second to talk about preparedness, such as which items and or trinkets you may want to bring before you tackle this boss in the sprawl. Items such as burn salves and medicinal herbs are great ways to deal with the fire damage you'll be taking. And if you're lucky enough to have a big juicy stack of flapjacks, this will also give you 5% to fire resistance as well as giving you 20% max HP. And then you have sneaky items like linseed oil that you could use to remove the dodge tokens that the boss continues to add to themselves each round. There are also many helpful trinkets you can bring for this fight, such as a heat shield, which will give you more fire resistance, or if you're lucky enough to find the dark impulse that has fire resistance, that would be great too. And probably the best item at reducing frustration would be the milk soak linen, which is your way to remove blind when the boss continuously blinds you round after round. Now, this is not an exhaustive list, but this should give you a general idea of what to look for when you're deciding what to bring with you. The nice thing is, a lot of these items are helpful not only for the boss fight, but also helpful for just being in the sprawl in general. So that about does it. I will remind you, because I always forget, double check your hero goals before landing the killing blow, because maybe one of your characters has a goal to finish this layer boss off. And with that, I want to wish you all the very best of luck when taking on this boss. I know it can be tricky, but as you get used to preparing and used to the rotations, it's going to get easier and easier over time, and I know you can do it. As always, if you have ideas or tricks or ways that you like to fight this boss, I would love to see them in the comments, and I'm sure lots of other people would too. I've been Nomac, you have been beautiful. If you got what you wanted, press that like. If you want more, subscribe if you might. Until next time, good day and good night.